Call the May 1st Town Council meeting to order. We have Troop 39 here tonight that will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. Just, if you would, just
Yep, so I'm Doug Friedman. I'm the former Scoutmaster of Troop 39.
speak right in the microphone as you... Just don't touch it.
We have a group of scouts here that are working on their citizenship in the community merit badge. So I'd like to ask them to each come up in turn, say your name and your rank. I'm going to touch it a little bit to move it down.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry. Come up and say your name and your rank.
Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm 12, and I'm a star.
I'm TJ, and I am 14, and I am also a star.
I'm Luke, I am 12, and I am first class.
I am Steven, I am 13, and I am a Life Scout.
I am Kyle, I am 12, and I am a scout.
I'm Guy, and I'm 13, and I'm a tenderfoot.
I'm Jared, I'm 12, and I'm a second class.
I'm Cole, I'm 13, and I'm first class.
Thank you, man. You did a great job. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilor Roy?
Here.
Councilor Holbrook?
Here.
Councilor Sullivan?
Here.
Councilor St. Clair?
Here.
Councilor Blaze?
Here.
Councilor Benedict?
Here.
Chairman Alquist.
Here. Next item on the agenda is the public comment. This is a time, if you'd like to get up and have 3 minutes, tell us what's on your mind, state your name and your address. As we go through each item in the agenda, you'll have another opportunity to give your comments. So, your name, address, and...
Martin Tripp, 26 Oceanwood. My comments today are we have cast aluminum signs by the firehouse. They're 10 feet tall. These things are 8 inches wide to announce that the library's on the left and the beaches are on the right and the post office is on the left. These signs that they're putting up, they got to cost at least $600. If that one's not $1,000, I don't know what is. I don't know, I thought we were under budgetary constraint, and you're putting up signs for $600 to $1,000? Again, I don't understand it. Maybe you people can explain it to me, but cast aluminum signs with 3 foot embedded, they got to be at least 3 foot embedded concrete posts? Okay. You got to look at these things. If you don't understand in town what they're spending your money on, you look at these signs and you'll see what they're spending the money on. Oak Hill intersection. You want to put a pedestrian-friendly crossing in there. Well, I happen to be stopped to make a left-hand turn. 2 kids crossed the road. They weren't moving fast. They made it in plenty of time. I don't understand that. A girl walked across Route 1 at that intersection, and she made it at a slow pace. She was pushing a baby carriage, and you're going to put an impediment in the way of the flow of traffic? If the signage and the stop signs are working properly and you obey them, you've got an extra 10 or 15 seconds. If you're going across on crutches, you might not make it, but anybody in reasonably good health, and you imply that you want to spend money on that kind of project, all right, that's that. In the paper, there was the thing that we should spend more money, and the average person should spend more money on taxes because that'll keep our property values up. Well, there's a little disagreement on that. However, my thing is, before this even came out in the paper, there was 2 people came to me and said, We ought to keep and spend more money so we can keep up our property values, that our value of our houses don't come down. One person in a paper, I can understand that. Two people before the article comes out in the paper, that's very odd. How I can be seen 3 times in the course of 2 weeks. I think the orchestra's playing on this one. Does everybody understand what I mean?
Thank you.
Well, okay, that's all I got for today, but I'm not sure, I can't tell for sure, but there's a tune been played out in this game here.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Who's next? Step right up. Name, address. You have 3 minutes. Anybody else would like to speak? Anybody else? If not, we'll close the public comment section of our meeting. Next is the minutes of the April 17th meeting. What's the pleasure of the council?
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments, errors, or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote. Next.
Order number 13-26 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and schedule a second reading on the request from Robert L. Jensen and Joyce Jensen for a proposed zone change on property located at 289-293 Black Point Road, map U, 90 lots 15 and 16.
And before we open the public hearing, we'll have a brief explanation.
Nancy, could I just have you hold, just a question to the chair. There was some suggestion to adjust the agenda to add an additional item that would be an appointment to the Employee Incentive Committee.
I think
I'm not sure if you're interested in offering that suggestion.
Excuse me, we can't hear you.
Okay, we'll try to fix that. I think she was just going to post it tonight, Tony.
Okay.
I talked to her about that.
Oh, good. I beg your pardon. I
Yeah,
just want to make
think
sure you
Jessica's
didn't miss
gonna
that part of the
post it.
agenda.
No, we're all set.
Thank you.
So here we go. If you introduce yourself and give us a brief explanation on that item, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Nancy St. Clair with St. Clair Associates. We're here tonight to return back to you folks for the public hearing portion of our request for a zone change on 2 properties located on Black Point Road. As the introduction noted, the properties are located at 289 to 293 Black Point Road. They're near the corner of Black Point and Old Neck Road. One of the properties is owned by Mr. Jensen. The adjacent property is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Jensen. The Jensens have requested a zone change to rezone their 2 properties, which are currently in the RF zoning district, to the R2 zoning district, which is consistent with the properties that are in the vicinity of the property. As we discussed with you folks back when we met in the early part of April, the comprehensive plan in 2006, the update to the comp plan, identified this area in the future land use. This is an excerpt from that 2006 comprehensive plan update. This piece of property is in the location that's identified as an R2 zoning district, with the anticipated future land use being R2. So the applicants are before you folks tonight to request that that zone change happen. And in the process, as you all know, we started this process back in late March, on March 22nd, with the Long Range Planning Committee. The Long Range Planning Committee found that this request was consistent with the comprehensive plan. We then met with you folks at the beginning of April, and then we also met on the 22nd of April with the Planning Board. At that meeting, the Planning Board also determined that it was consistent with the anticipated zoning in the area and sent a positive recommendation back to you folks. So we're here tonight for the public hearing portion of it. Certainly would take any questions that you folks have or any from the public. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this matter? Please step up to the podium, state your name and your address. Anybody who would like to speak on this matter? Last chance, seeing none, close the public hearing. We'll schedule the second reading on next
May 15th.
May 15th.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Order number 1337 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and action on the new request for a food handler's license from Benjamin Grant doing business as Bad Dog Deli located at 680 US Route 1.
And this is a public hearing, and I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this matter? Please step up to the podium. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And what's the pleasure of the council?
Move approval. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote.
Order number 1338 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and action on a new request for a pawnbroker license from Nicholas Berthume doing business as Mainly LLC located at 582B US Route 1. This is formerly the Golden Tech Trading Post.
This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody who'd like to speak on this matter? Anybody? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and what's the pleasure of the council?
Move approval. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote.
Resolution 13-03 is a resolution in opposition of LD 300.
Council Roy? I'll turn it over to Tom for an explanation, maybe.
Sure. This is a resolution that would simply have the council provide a sentiment, if you will, to the legislature regarding a matter of pending legislation, so-called LD 300. This proposed legislation intends to reverse law that was created for the first time last year, and essentially it's all related to I would say transparency, but making sure that the Maine Education Association provides its loss data and other information related to health insurance benefits for purposes for all of us to understand and really, I guess, to introduce some level of competitiveness to that whole market. So it's really just a sentiment of council, and we will, should it pass, we would send it up to the State House, and I'm sure it would be read into the record. I've also offered a suggestion to the school board, and you might note in the bottom of this resolve, it does encourage the Board of Education to consider similar action if they wish.
Councilor Roy, would you read the resolution, please?
In the form of a motion, Resolution 1303, opposition to LD 300, be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Scarborough and Town Council assembled that whereas the property taxpayers of Scarborough are obligated to fund education for their K-12 students under the laws of the state of Maine, and whereas more than 65% of Scarborough property taxes are spent to support education in the Scarborough School District, and whereas one of the largest line item expenses in the school budget is for the cost of health care insurance for teachers, administrators, and support staff, and whereas competition most often produces lower prices for goods and services and improves understanding of the value of such goods and services, and whereas the 125th Maine Legislature passed LD 1326, an act to allow school administration units to seek less expensive health insurance alternatives, and the bill was signed into law by the governor to enable the release of health insurance loss data to individual school districts for the purpose of understanding and soliciting competitive proposals for health care insurance. Whereas LD 1326, having been in effect for less than 1 year, breaks a decades-long virtual monopoly by the Maine Education Association Benefits Trust over local health insurance costs by concealing the loss data for individual school districts. And whereas the United States Federal Court in Maine and the United States Federal Court of Appeals in Boston both have rejected arguments by the Maine Education Association Benefits Trust that attempted to block implementation of this insurance reform, and whereas the Legislative Policy Committee of the Maine Municipal Association voted to oppose LD 300, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Scarborough that the Town Council hereby urges the 126th Legislature to reject LD 300 or any other legislation that restricts access to local loss data and designates the town manager to communicate the town's opposition to this bill's sponsors, other legislatures, the Joint Standing Committee on Insurance and Financial Services, and other municipal officials. Be it further resolved that the Town Council encourages the Scarborough Board of Education to adopt a similar resolve showing its support to LD 300. Signed and sealed this day, first day of May 2013, on behalf of the Scarborough Town Council and the Town Manager of Scarborough, Maine.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this matter? Please step up, state your name. Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the council?
Move the question.
It wasn't seconded.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
I think I just detected an error in the final portion, the final sentence.
To vote.
It should say, the intent was for the Scarborough Board of Education to adopt a similar resolve showing its opposition to...
Opposition. I thought so as I read that. It was like,
I noticed that, too.
Slight difference.
So I would amend my motion in reading and to change the wording to oppose.
Okay.
Thank you.
One that made the second is okay with that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote. Next item.
Okay, under old business 12, order number 13-25 is a second reading on the proposed municipal school budget for fiscal year 2014.
Council Roy.
Yes. I would make a motion to approve the second reading of the 2014 budget.
Second.
Just before we go any farther, is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak on this matter? Just step right up, give your name and your address, please.
Thanks, Jackie.
My name is Jacqueline Perry. I reside at 215 Black Point Road in Scarborough. I am also a member of the Board of Education. I want to thank you for your service. I've never served on the council, but I know how difficult it is to be sitting there. And although we've not always agreed, I support the fact that you love this town as much as I do and try and do what is in the best interest of this town. I live 1.8 miles from Route 1, and since 1970, when I bought my house, I have seen on that 1.8 miles a condo complex, Easton Road Development, Harmon Farm, Black Point Woods, and Van Carl Circle. There's more on Black Point Road, but that's as far as I live. Since then, we now have sewer in this part of town, including Hingens Beach. We have gone from a part-time fire chief to a full-time chief, a full-time EMT director. We have a marine division of the department with 2 boats, a harbor master, a police department that has at least doubled in size, and a community services department. We have renovated and added on to firehouses, moved to a new town garage. We have added fire equipment and police equipment. We have added at least 5 parks. And although in most instances the land was donated, we've had to develop it and we maintain them. We have done all of this because our town, which I love, has grown and continues to grow, and has needs, and I wouldn't have it any other way. At the same time as the town grows, so does our student population. In this same time frame, we have closed Oak Hill, Dunstan, and Bessie schools, and the old Curriculum Center, which is now Alberg's. These properties are now generating taxes, perhaps not Bessie. We have renovated and added on to 3 K2 schools, the Wentworth School, the high school, built a new middle school, and are building a new Wentworth. I thank you. We have 3,300 students whom we educate, more than twice as many as we had in 1970, and just as we need expanded police, fire, and public works facilities, we have needed to expand school facilities, and with your assistance have done so. When I started on the board, we offered boys soccer, field hockey, boys and girls basketball, baseball, softball, and track. We now offer almost every sport available to students. This town has supported all of the above. But our parents have had to raise the money, yes, their choice because they wanted the activities, to support their children in sport and extracurricular activities, and many of you think that this parent tax is appropriate. We are in a terrible financial crunch. When one looks at the school budget, the number is huge. But I ask you, is this increase proportional to all the other increases given the number of children we educate? Ladies and gentlemen, there are no frills in the school budget any more than there are frills in the town budget. The town has needs both on the municipal side and the school side. The town may decide not to sweep streets or mow the lawns to save money. We cannot tell the students, stay home. Let us continue to work together for what is best for Scarborough. And I think that we have to admit that good schools are good for Scarborough. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Name and address, please.
Ted Meserve, 25 Houghton Street. I support the school system, but I'm telling you, it's getting hard for retired people, particularly those that living on the beach. Maybe they want to drive us off, I don't know, but our taxes, mine's gone up 60%. And I do support the schools, I love the schools. I just would like the town to come up with some other ways to raise some revenue. And one of the things that popped out to me was I took a look at all your fees here. And I look at the fees, some of them go back to, well, let me look at an example. 4 years, 9 years. That's probably what the average is, about 9 years. And then I look at one here for, this is kind of a, I don't know where you slipped this one in or what, but I looked at the parking fees for the beaches. Daily parking, Ferry Beach, Higgins Beach, Hurd Park. It says here, amended in 2012. Come on. The only thing that changed in 2012, Higgins Beach went from $5 to $10. Those other beaches have not been increased since 2004. You know, there's money out there. The other way is, you know, you can open up the beaches and those places a little bit early because the people in there parking, they're not paying anything. And they come in late, they're not paying anything. If we really want to raise some money for the kids in school, let's go after some of this money that's out there. You know, you're asking the people that live on the beach, our taxes go up every year. But you don't, you know, I'd be better off moving off maybe to in town and then just coming to the beach and parking free or paying, you know, $10. You know, it just doesn't seem fair. You know, it comes a point where, you know, you're asking too much, particularly for retired people. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be losing their homes, who are going to have to sell and move out. I'm not sure that's what you really want. But that's all I have to say. I wish you'd take a look at raising some of the other fees to support the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Step right up.
Donna Beely, 12 Gunstock Road, board member, school board member. I would urge you tonight to join with the school board and find a way to compromise on the school budget. I have witnessed the superintendent make reduction after reduction in order to take into consideration the impact the school budget may have on the residents of Scarborough. He also has to be concerned about the impact on our classrooms. Parents often feel that if their own child is doing well, then this is an awesome school system. My kids did well here too. However, what I see with my 38 years in education are areas that really need improvement. And here's just one significant example. As you know, jobs today involve computers, no matter what job it is. Learning with just a pen, pencil, dictionary, and an encyclopedia is not enough anymore. It's terribly unfortunate that this school system did not invest several years ago in technology at the high school, when the state made an offer, along with Apple, to provide computers. Now, many towns around us have those computers in their high schools, and our students do not. These towns have gone on to add smart boards and integrate the curriculum with technology, which causes understanding and research to occur at a much deeper and faster speed. We know that in Maine, we have job openings for people trained in technology that go unfilled. Our state demographics show that we are continuing to age. We need our students to return here after 1, 2, or more years beyond high school and be prepared to fill those jobs. We can't do that without more technology for our students in this high school. The sad thing to me is that even if you were to pass the superintendent's requested budget in full tonight, we still won't have those computers in our high school. The citizens of Scarborough are really fortunate, and we enjoy many town services that our communities can only hope, other communities only can hope to have. A quality school system that prepares our students for life after graduation is expected and needed. I believe the superintendent has shown through his presentations that our school system is not wildly expensive, nor does it spend our taxpayers' money irresponsibly. I urge you to find a way to meet the superintendent at least halfway tonight through some kind of a compromise. And as we move into the following budget cycle next year, let's agree to find additional ways to collaborate along the way so that we can improve relationships with each other and allow the town council and the board to not end up, or to be able to end up on the same page next spring.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Name and address, please.
John Cole, 40 Arborview Lane, Scarborough. Just want to remind you, you all have this, the 2012 municipal book, and in it is the school department that Dr. Winston, George put together, and review what this gentleman has done for our town. I don't expect to change any minds here tonight. I just would encourage you to use a moment of pause, to rethink what you're doing is the right move. I'm going to throw some numbers out quickly. 1.5% in the municipal budget, 5.6 in the education budget, 5.7 in the county, for a total of 3.97, total of $71 million for the town. I don't want to label anything. I'm not a labeling type of person, but I do make judgments. And it's going to be very compelling tonight. Those that want to recover our schools are going to be for the budget that we passed. And if you are not for recovery, and it's very small, you know the numbers, then you're for dismantling. It's black and white. It's simple as that. Where this 3% came from, I have no idea. I would advise the finance department to dig in and arrive at a financial analysis of that percentage. Where it came from was probably picked out of the air, and it's probably a political number. In 2003, that was 5%. We were in a different economy then, sure. 3% is an item that we can live with, have lived with, but it doesn't fit the schools. Why couldn't it be 2%? Why couldn't it be 1%? Long-range visibility is needed on this. If we start dismantling our schools, it's just a matter of time before we are like the schools in the surrounding area. We had an A at a high school. It was publicized today, and a B for the middle school, or maybe it was the Wentworth School, and then the middle school was an A. That's in jeopardy if we take the dismantling approach. If this trend continues, we know where it's going. I want to leave you with a last thought. And that is, when we got together as two boards, there was an agreement that you would let the voters decide this. You let us work the numbers, Dr. Entwistle rework those numbers, and then it was going to be passed on to the voters. I would encourage you to keep to your promise. That's what I would encourage you to. Let the voters decide this. This is directional sending. This is not a trivial issue. You have to let the voters decide this issue. And I understand you have the power. Of course you do. This is just so much larger than all of us. Let the voters decide this, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Name and address, please.
Marty Tripp, 26 Oceanwood. You know, I talked to Dr. Entwistle, and he makes good sense. He's trying to do his job. What confuses me is what happened for the 20 years before this, and how did the mindset that seems to me to prevail get there? And I don't understand it. There's a lot of things in town I don't understand, but there seems something odd in the school system to me. Something's out of line there, but I don't know what it is. I can't quite put a feel on it, but somewhere somebody's got to start thinking about what's going on. He's only been here 2 years, and I hope he can straighten it out. But somewhere something's wrong. I'm sorry. I don't quite get it. I'm looking at it.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Who's next? Name and address. Anybody else? Yep, sure. Step right up.
Good evening. Dave Dittmer, 11 Woodside Drive. My wife sent an email to the council and to the school board this morning, kind of encapsulating our story in Scarborough. We moved here 6 years ago with a 2-month-old and a 4-year-old. The primary reason we moved here was because of the reputation of the schools. 3.5 years ago, we moved our business from Portland to here because we could see a town that was investing in its roads, it was investing in the community, and it was investing in the schools. And to us as business owners, we said, this is what we want. We want investment. So we put our time in, we built our business here, and it's been succeeding, thanks in large part to the Scarborough community itself. When I look at what the school budget offers, which is not enough, in my opinion, and I do have 2 children in the schools, so I would be biased in that respect, I think we're at the bottom level we can go. And going to the point that we may be at the point where we push the schools into a very negative place if we don't dig our heels in and say, let's fund the schools and let's keep them at the high level that they have. I received a phone call about a month ago from a person who wanted to relocate his business to Scarborough. He just wanted to get a feel for the community and the area we were in. And I told him Scarborough is a town that invests in the community. You look at what's happening at Oak Hill, there are a lot of changes. Some people are not agreeing with them, some are not, and some are. And my business is located at Oak Hill, and I'm excited about it because I say this is turning into a village, into a community, into a center. But it's not going to make a whole lot of difference if we don't keep the schools at the high level they have. The people who are going to make the decisions in the next 5 years to move to Scarborough are going to make the decisions for the people who are going to invest. They're going to make it based on, are my kids going to be more successful in Scarborough? Are they going to be more successful in Cape? Are they going to be more successful in Yarmouth or South Portland? They're going to take all of those things into consideration. And I, for one, would like them to come to Scarborough because this is going to be my home for the next 25, 35, 40 years, however long I can make it. And I want to see it grow and blossom as I see my kids grow and blossom in this community. So please support this budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Step right up.
My name is Susan Hamill, and I live at Shady Creek on 8 Shady Creek Lane. I think the budget that's being presented here tonight is just still way too high, and the tax increase is too high. And when I was thinking about whether or not I should come tonight and speak, I knew that I was probably wasting my time. I think that It won't really make a difference. I don't really know why we bother with the second reading. This has to come up for vote to the taxpayers of the town on May 14th. There's really not enough time to make any changes at this point. But I do wish that the entire budget was coming up for a vote, not just the school portion of it. And I know that the school portion is coming because it's a state-mandated law and not a town ordinance. I still would really like to see the entire budget, both the municipal part and the school portion, come up for a town-wide vote. And I think that that would really, you'd know how the taxpayers felt. Lots of people, I think, vote one way or another on the school budget when they really would like to be voting on the whole budget. And at least I know that's how I vote. It's the only chance I get to actually speak up where it might have an impact on what happens to the budget. It would be a moment of truth for the town council to know, how do the taxpayers feel about what we're doing. I do think that when you're spending somebody else's money, you spend it a little differently than if it were coming out of your own pocket. And it's like being in a restaurant and someone else is picking up the tab. You can order whatever you'd like. And we're getting some new firefighters, we're getting a webmaster, a new tri-generation heating system. And when I look at the budget, I don't see evidence that there was any thought given to the fact that a lot of people in this town are struggling to pay their bills and that the economy is not back yet. And I know in my own case, I'm approaching retirement. We're thinking about, do we want to stay in Scarborough? Can we afford to stay in Scarborough? Well, maybe we can right now, but what if taxes keep going up at the rate they're going? What is it going to look like in 10 years? Is this going to be a good place for us to retire? And I know that maybe we can afford it, but maybe we don't want to be paying for the level of services that we're currently paying for. I know that a lot of people don't come to these meetings, and you know that, but that doesn't mean that we're all fine and that we approve of everything that you've decided on. And I think most people are just too busy. And it's not that we don't care.
Thank you. Who's next? Yep.
My name is Alan Bingham. I live at 9 Acorn Lane. We moved to Scarborough in the late 90s, and my property taxes have increased every single year that we've been here. They are now 45% higher than when we moved here. My income as a retiree is fixed, except for modest increases in cost of living on Social Security, for example. My income after inflation, cost of living effects, is now 71% of what it was when I moved here. So I'm rapidly losing ground. I am one of approximately 4,500 seniors in Scarborough. I think the town population is something like 25% seniors, whatever that really means. Both families, our personal families, and our government in budgeting have musts and wants. I urge this town, those responsible for budgeting, to carefully differentiate between musts and wants when they make up our budgets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Anybody else? Yep. State your name and address in 3 minutes.
Hi there, Chris. Did I just mess it up? Chris, move it down.
There you go. Yep, thank you.
Chris Taylor, 168 Black Point Road, and I'm just coming here in support of the superintendent's budget. It's probably not realistic, or maybe it is, I don't know, to pass it exactly as it's presented in front of you, but I've heard people ahead of me say if you could even come close or halfway, that would be great. So I do have 3 kids in the system, so I would vote for, hey, anything you can do to fully endorse this budget, that'd be fantastic. But I also recognize the comments of the person that just spoke before me. 3 years ago or so, before Dr. Entwistle was here, there was a period that school systems all around the country were tightening belts, as they still are, and it was kind of a bleak time. And my wife and I did wonder, should we stay here? With the loss of foreign language in schools, technology, and the direction that we are going. I don't know how serious that was. Would we really pack up the kids and move to some other town? But I do happen to wonder, did other families have the same discussion? When Dr. Entwistle came and started the community dialogues and the start of the Scarborough Education Foundation and endorsing a somewhat, I don't know what the words are, but a budget that was kind of considerable in the last couple of years. All of a sudden I was excited that, wow, we might be going the right direction, that we're, instead of going backwards, we might be headed in a more forward direction. So since that time, I've been very encouraged by what I've seen with our school system, and I think I've felt it around other people around me as well. And so I feel very good about the direction that we're going, and I feel like we're going in a forward direction with our school system, and I'm very excited about that. I'm just one person, but I have no intention of moving now, and I kind of, again, wonder if other folks feel the same way, that, wow, this school is really doing good things, the community and things are coming together in a really positive direction, and I'm very excited about that and proud to say my kids are in the Scarborough schools and good things are happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next? Anybody else would like to speak? Now's your chance. Seeing none, Councilor Roy.
Remake the motion.
To divide.
I would move to approve the second reading of the 2014 budget.
But we already did that. You just get it
Well,
divided.
I thought you had
Yeah,
that.
no, it's fine.
Okay.
10 seconds, divide.
All right. I'd like to propose, the first motion that I'd like to propose is to amend the main motion to accept the Finance Committee recommended adjustments to the proposed budget, and to divide the question with regard to the library budget and the high school field house for, and my time is up, for a total adjustment of $1.661493.
Second.
Jessica's got the second.
You second that? Yeah. That's not debatable. All those in favor of dividing the question? Opposed? Divided.
So just procedurally, I might advise the council, you must now deal with those matters that you've divided out first and then return back to the main motion.
Right. Councilor St. Clair?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move approval to amend the main motion as amended to decrease the library budget by $24,532 instead of the $43,568, to allow for the library parity for a new gross budget of $891,884. And I think, I'm not sure there needs to be a lot of discussion on it, but I know this was something that we...
We need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second, go ahead.
This was a commitment that was made a few years ago. We had a 3-year plan with the library, and I think it's pretty important that we stick with that commitment that we made.
Okay, any other comments?
So I would ask.
Yep, I agree. It's a commitment that we made, and we're fulfilling that commitment, so. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Councilor Sullivan?
Move approval to amend the main motion as amended to reinstate funding for municipal capital project Field House in the amount of $48,000 and reinstate the estimated renew to the finished fund revenue to the fund with reserves in the amount of $48,000.
Second?
Second.
Explanation,
Yep,
Council Sullivan?
this money is already there, set aside, in the account. It's revenue neutral. It's not gonna affect the budget. It's not gonna come out of, taxpayers' funds. And, there's money that's put in this account, by the booster clubs, for this exact purpose.
Thank you. Any other comment, Council Roy?
I think the other thing that's important, too, is that this is to enlarge the deck on that field house, and the booster clubs pays $600 for a heister lift every time there's a game. And that the boosters work really hard for that money. And I think also the Community Services Director, Bruce Gulliver, looked at the monies that was available. There's $105,000 in that reserve account. One of the other projects that the Boosters works towards is refurbishing the fields, and in Bruce's estimation, the fields will not need to be majorly refurbished for probably 8 to 10 years. So that money's available, and I think it does give the Booster Club an opportunity to raise other funds and not have to pay out that $600 each time. And as Councilor Sullivan said, it's budget neutral because it's reserve fund that's there.
Thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote. And then we go back to any motion? Other amendments? Council Roy?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd like to make a second motion with some additional budget reductions. I would move approval to amend the main motion as amended to reduce funding for the education budget by $623,500 and the fire department budget by $42,290 for a new school gross of $40,272,085 and a new fire department gross of $3,871,387.
That's a full, if we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Council Roy?
The total amount of that is $667,790. The education budget monies is made up mostly of monies that the school put in the budget based upon what's going on up in Augusta and perhaps the necessity for the school department to pay a share of the retirement monies for the teachers at the school system. It's a little risky, but I'm hearing good vibes from the state. Certainly, if the legislature does a two-thirds majority vote to remove that, which has already been removed as far as I understand from the Finance Committee, but the legislature will have to do a two-thirds majority in order not to be vetoed by the governor. But I think I'm willing to take that risk, I think, because it certainly will help the bottom line for all of those folks. And then the budget line for the fire department, they had asked for 4 new firefighters. They have to have 4 in order to cover 24/7. We looked at cutting it back to 2 and what the savings would be, and that didn't give us much savings. But if we start them in their position, in a half-year position, that would be an additional saving of $44,000. And the reason being, and I know a lot of people say we already have too many firefighters, et cetera, we really don't, and we have less and less and less volunteer firefighters, and that's becoming a great problem as we grow in numbers of folks in the town of Scarborough. It requires more folks to do the job, particularly because the volunteers aren't out there. So that is my reasonings for that motion.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I might just add to that, there was another kind of piece to that fireman segment, which was, realistically, we're running, I think it was almost $250,000 in overtime rates. So
that's right.
It almost wound up washing, because now we just won't have the overtime, it'll be straight pay having these positions. So it almost didn't do anything. I might add that.
And Councilor Roy, those reductions will bring us to our goal.
Those reductions will bring us to our goal of a 3% increase
Okay,
in the operating expenses.
thank you. Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Councilor Roy?
The next motion that I'd like to offer, I did some brainstorming, as you can tell, in between meetings. Capital budget reductions. I want to move to approve to amend the main motion as amended to reduce funding for the capital equipment budget, and that's a municipal, by $12,000, and the capital projects budget by $33,000, for a total reduction of $45,000.
Second.
Discussion, Councilor Roy.
Okay, the capital equipment, the $12,000, Community Services asked for a new tractor, and we've removed that. The current tractor is still serviceable, and we can push that forward. The municipal capital project would be the replacement of carpets. These are the same carpets that have been in this building since 1993 when we opened it. However, and it's put in the budget over a 5-year period at $8,000 a year. So we want to push that forward, and if next year we might have to push it forward again. And then the third item was an item that the Finance Committee meant to act on during their deliberations but failed to, and that was removal of the $25,000 for the hitch-up component of generator installation at the library. And we've discussed that with the library board as well as the director of the library, and they're comfortable with that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Those were, the reason why these were in here this way was these were allocations, if I'm not...
They were appropriations versus bonding or reserve fund. They were straight out money appropriations.
Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote.
Okay. And I have one more motion, and this just came up today. The finance director brought it to our attention. Move approval to amend the main motion as amended to increase funding for the senior property tax relief by $5,000 to bring the appropriation to $150,000.
Second.
Okay. And again, this was something, we had been carrying it as $150,000 each time we reviewed the calculations, but had not taken an official vote on it in the Finance Committee to bring it forward as a recommendation. And as people may or may not remember, this past year, we had a fairly large increase of folks needing to seek out assistance with their taxes, and they qualified for the state circuit breaker, and by qualifying for the state circuit breaker, they also qualified for ours. We also had lowered the age from 65 to 60 for eligibility, and they have to have lived in the town for 10 years. So some of the folks, they could receive up to $500, and some of the folks did not receive as much as they had anticipated of that monies, and so that line was adjusted but just not voted on by either Finance Committee or not included in that first reading.
Councilor Roy, I believe that's age 62. Instead of, you said 60, I think we lowered to
62, I'm sorry, 62 to...
I love correcting her.
I've gone by that age, so I forget about it, you know.
My comment is, it is a property tax relief program, and it's very near and dear to me, and last year we had to make a few corrections to make sure the people who are eligible are included, and that's what we're doing here tonight. So I think this is a good thing, and for people that use that can use that, I appreciate the fact that they can, and we're willing to step up to the plate for them, so. Any other comments?
Well,
Councilor
maybe
Roy?
I could just add where this motion brings us in the budget. Would that be appropriate? And kind of look at, where we've come from. We started out for the town gross at a 1.79% increase. Finance Committee dropped that to 1.49%, and then tonight's actions will drop it to 1.40. The school's growth started out at 646, went to 561, and now is down to 4.01. And the county gross did not change. That's There's no choice there, 5.72 across the board. But with this motion, that will bring the rate increase to 3% or $14.69
Thank you.
per mil.
Any other comments on the amendment? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Now back to the main motion.
As amended.
As amended.
Right, the main motion, and we need to vote on the main motion as amended. So all those,
Is there any other amendments?
any other amendments? No. All those in favor of the main motion as amended?
It's a roll call.
Okay. We'll have a roll call.
Counselor Roy?
Yes.
Counselor Holbrook?
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan?
Yes.
Counselor St. Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Blaze?
What are we doing here?
Voting on the budget as amended.
Aren't we going to discuss it?
We have.
I want to discuss it.
Okay.
I think we should all have our shot at,
Okay. Well,
You did ask.
we can put her on hold so you can make your comments. Okay.
okay? I'll make my comments. First of all, there's a lot of question about where did the 3% come from? The 3% came out of a meeting that the town council had back in January where we started to set our goals for the current year. I believe, I know, I wanted to see a flatline budget. Nobody else wanted to see that, and everybody agreed, well, okay, if we can get up to 3%. It was my feeling, and I think some of the other members of the council will agree with me, that the 3% was going to be, we wouldn't increase taxes by more than 3%. Now, the way it was written up, it was, well, we won't increase expenditures by more than 3%. Well, back then, the state hadn't started monkeying around with all the revenues and everything like that, and probably back then, if everything had stayed the same, revenues would probably remained pretty even, and a 3% reduction or an increase in expenditures would have amounted to approximately a 3% increase in tax revenue. Change this all around. Now, as far as I'm concerned, a 3% increase in the expenses is yielding still a 7.9% increase in the taxes. Totally outrageous, in my opinion. And then, if you take a look at it, the last 4 years, if this passes, the last 4 years, our taxes have gone up 22.6%. And then people are saying, well, boy, the school is going to have at least 5 or 6% a year. I mean, I think we're getting to the point where if this continues, our taxes are going to go up 6, 7, 8, 9% a year. How many people can afford to live in this town at that rate of growth? How many people in this town have an income capable of absorbing that amount of money on an annual basis? You're going to drive a lot of people out of this town. In my opinion, it's totally unacceptable.
Thank you. Councilor Roy.
I just countered that a little bit by the fact that Scarborough has the second lowest tax rate in the entire Cumberland County. And even with this change tonight, we would bump down to the third lowest tax rate per mill in Cumberland County. So I don't know what other community people are going to move to, but they're not going to get a deal anywhere else.
Anybody else?
Wait for council comments.
I'll say my comments for closing comments. We'll have the roll.
See your comment for what?
Closing comments. I'll say mine. Do you want to say something now?
Yes, I do, please.
We'll go.
I feel that we're caught between a rock and a hard place, and that there is no answer that anybody is going to be 100% happy with. And it's unfortunate. I think that Dr. Entwistle and the rest of the school is in a very bad position that they didn't put themselves in, that the state put them in. And there's nothing that they can do about it. Certain things have to get paid. The town, on the other hand, besides schools, are given county bills that are based on their calculations. We can't refute them. They have to be paid. If people talk about your taxes went up 20% and 40% in 10 years, and this and that, well, my personal house taxes have gone up 100% since I moved here in 2001. Who, what, or why? The assessor, who was fair and value, came up with that amount of money. I understand that there's going to be a point in time where I might not be able to afford to live here. I moved here from Massachusetts to escape the very same thing that's going on now. Cost of living going up, and cost of wages not going up in anywhere near the proportion that the cost of living is going up. I don't believe we're in a period of panic yet, but I do believe we do have problems that need to be fixed. We've got an awful lot of empty buildings on Route 1. Businesses can't afford to do business anymore. But I don't think it's so much in Scarborough, but it's everywhere. And we're not going through anything that any other town isn't going through. I guess I thank God I don't live in Brunswick, where their taxes went up 12%. And that's the way it is. And then we have problems going on in Old Orchard Beach between the councilors and the people, and I'm not taking a side on that one. I'm just saying it's unfortunate that that has to happen. We don't have those things in Scarborough, and I think we should be pretty thankful for what we have. The percentages, anybody can change percentages. Percentages, to me, don't mean a whole lot. A whole lot is how we get to the bottom line, how we did get to the bottom line. Push and pull, needs and wants. And even though I'm not totally happy with this, it's not a case of being happy. It's a case of what's necessary. And we started back in the beginning of the year at 3%. And through due diligence with all-inclusive, we got it down to 3%. You can misread or take a single percentage out of here and put it in there. But I haven't heard anybody say anything good about 1 point whatever for the DPW. We've all seemed to have forgotten that. They have expenses too. They had to cut their budget also. And the school department had to cut a good portion of their budget and work numbers till they work. So I just think we're maybe not in the happiest of places, but we're in a necessary place where we have to be with the town, with the school in general. And I just hope there's a little more understanding all the way around on why we have to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? If not, we'll have a roll call again.
Counselor Roy?
Yes.
Counselor Holbrook,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor St. Clair,
Yes.
Counselor Blaze,
No.
Counselor Benedict,
Yes.
Chairman Alquist.
Yes. Thank you. It's the budget. Next is non-action items. Do we have any?
No.
Having none, the next is the standing and special committee reports. Council Roy, you always have a few. We'll start with you.
Okay. Just GP COG Steering Committee hasn't met, but they will be meeting May 8th. The SEDCO Executive Board is meeting tomorrow morning. Energy Committee did meet on the 23rd of April. I did not attend that, but we're continuing to gather together video productions for putting it on the cable, the website. And I'm not sure, I did not read the minutes, so I apologize, I can't tell you what else went on there. Long Range Planning Committee has, the next meeting is Friday morning. And I think that's it for the committees, for me.
Thank you. Council Holbrook?
I'd like to post a name for the Employee Incentive Program. That's going to be William Donovan of Higgins Beach. We also had Housing Alliance will be meeting Thursday, well, tomorrow evening at 7. They're going to be looking at visiting, the qualifiers for the home buyer program. They're going to be taking a look at Habitat itself has a qualification process to qualify any of their future homeowners. So again, the Housing Alliance was just going to take a look and see if those were cohesive and coincided. Conservation Commission met on the 9th. They finalized a group of some of the town-owned lands and have a set of recommendations on a few of the parcels. And that's actually coming for a council presentation, I think maybe the next meeting.
May 15th.
May 15th. And then there's, again, just continuing on that path, visiting town-owned lands and parcels. Their next meeting is actually going to be on-site for a site walk of a parcel that's off of the West Beechridge Road. And that will be on, I didn't write the date, second Monday. So, and that's it.
Thank you. Committee reports, Councilor Sullivan?
I really don't have anything to report, but I'm going to yield the ordinance committee to you, since I was tied up at work yesterday with the drill at the airport.
All right. Councilor St. Clair?
I don't have any at this time.
Councilor Blaze?
Nothing.
Councilor Benedict?
Council Rules and Policy Committee met, and we've got up for discussion roadside memorials, which we did not come to an understanding of what we had wanted to do. We're gathering information from Chief Moulton to see what he thinks would be a fair and reasonable thing to do. And next scheduled meeting is also on May 15th. Hopefully we'll be able to come to some decision on what, if anything, we're going to do with that. And that's it.
Thank you. For me, the ordinance committee, I was filling in for Councilor Sullivan. We talked about accessory units. We talked about signs, changing in signs ordinance. And we also talked about communication, cell communication units is what we talked about. We want to address that in the future because, as you know, there's a lot of dead spots in this town, and there's ways to improve that, and the town can have a pretty good handle on how we do that and where they go and how many units go on each cell tower. Eco Maine, we have a meeting coming up. I'll be going to that. Psycho has a meeting tomorrow morning, Councilor Roy?
Yes.
Yeah, at 7:30, I'll be there at that one, and I guess this is a time of year where everybody has a lot of meetings, so now that the budget's over with, we can pay a little more attention to those, so. Having said that, next is the town manager's report.
Yes, just a few quick items. First, I want to congratulate the council and in particular the members of the Finance Committee for a lot of hard work. I know the Finance Committee met 5 Tuesday mornings in a row for between 2 and 3 hours each and really put a lot of time into reviewing very thoroughly the budget. And I think their work was observed this evening in terms of moving the ball very much further toward the council's goal. So I congratulate the full council, in particular the Finance Committee. And as some members of staff still here, I certainly do appreciate their efforts way at the front end of this budget process by starting us off in a good spot, if you will, and certainly being a good support to Ruth and myself throughout the whole process. Just a couple of reminders. I've mentioned in the past, we're looking at doing a dedication of the Higgins Beach Bathhouse, and I'll be sending out some more formal information, like, for instance, an invitation. But just to put on your calendars, we're looking at Friday, May 24th, sometime mid-morning, and we'll send out some of those details a bit further. Very quick ceremony, but just to take a moment and appreciate the effort and the accomplishment. And the other point I just want to raise, next Wednesday, May 8th, there's a council workshop scheduled. I propose that we get together at 5:30. We'd like to do a presentation on a number of the capital projects that are in the budget. These are projects that the Transportation Committee has been working on and has recommended, and as of your vote moments ago, now have funding. But we want to give you an opportunity to see, get a better sense of the scope of those projects. Have a little light dinner. I think it'll be as simple as a few pizzas and some water, and then move into a discussion regarding business friendliness or business readiness and a number of the efforts we've taken and some more work we need to do, frankly. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor comments? Councilor St. Clair?
I don't tonight, thank you.
Yeah, Councilor Blaze?
None.
Councilor Benedict?
All set, thank you.
Please, watch this. Councilor Roy?
Not ready.
I didn't know the mic was.
Yeah, you're right. Just, certainly, first, I always try to offer out condolences for those residents that have passed away that I have noted. Annabelle DeMario, Jules Finette, Beatrice Kaler, she was the mother of the R.C. Moore Company, trucking company in here in Scarborough. Warren or Waddy Hamilton, he was a main figure character up at Beach Ridge for years and years. Dorothy Bell, she's a longtime neighbor of mine and related to the council chair and to Councilor Holbrook. And then there were four residents at the Veterans Home: Peter Reale, Jean-Marc Desjardins, Marshall Spring, and Fred McDonald. And then Richard Murphy and Scott Adair, which are two classmates of Councilor Alquist, passed away. My comments basically are
Total Info Sports.
As I drove here tonight, I thought I was driving to a funeral. That's the way I felt. That's how tough this budget was, and I applaud everybody for their participation. We've been faced with a difficult budget, but I think, in my opinion, done as good a job as we could to maintain services in all aspects of the budget, despite the grave reductions in revenue sharing. We ended up with, and people who think we spend too much, only $2,065,313 increase in operating expenses, which certainly doesn't get you very far. It pays for benefits, it pays for salaries that are obligated under union contracts, so it doesn't do too much. The big driver, certainly, in the whole thing was the loss of revenue-sharing dollars on both sides of the coin, and most particularly for the schools. There are a number of things, certainly, in the next few months that may adjust that mill rate, further, as I alluded to as we did the motions. Certainly, that teacher retirement share dollars, hopefully, we won't have to pay that, but should we have to, that may, change the rate. Certainly, the school board is doing negotiations for teacher contracts, and it depends on how those turn out, whether there is an increased need or a decreased need, and hopefully it'll be a decrease. And the town valuation is the other area. Currently, the manager in this year's budget set the proposed increase in value at $15 million, which was $15 million less than last year's increase in value. There won't be major changes, but there may be anywhere from 4 to 6 cents reduction off from the bottom line as far as per mill. I'm trying to be optimistic that we'll get that number down a little bit more. I certainly want to thank the Finance Committee members. It was a long, hard haul, and then I called an extra meeting on top of all of the other meetings. Certainly to the town municipal departments who did a yeoman's job coming in with their budgets as low as they did in the first go-round. Town manager who worked diligently with us and was very responsive. The School Board Finance Committee, I think that's the first time the two committees have met, and I think that went well. Certainly, George Entwistle, the superintendent, has been right on board with everything all the way along and done a yeoman's job, and certainly also the fellow counselors who have given us ideas and thoughts, and certainly the other school board members. I certainly hope that everybody that played a role in it did negotiate in good faith. I trust in that, and I think that happened. And I always try to live by my motto is that we really tried to do the best we could for the most that we could for the least amount of dollars, as tough as that was. I certainly would ask that the voters, number one, get out to vote on the validation of the school budget, whether you're for it or against it, but get out to vote, because last year I think there were a little over 1,000 people that voted, and we have 14,000 registered voters in the town of Scarborough. That's kind of like reverting back to a selectman form of government, as I've said before, that depends on how many people of your persuasion you can bring and how late you can stay up. And that's why we don't have the town total budget voted on by the people, because we have a town manager, town council form of government. For that very reason, as people said tonight, that they're too busy to be actively involved. The second really major thing is that residents contact their state legislators. Amy Volk, Heather Siraki, Senator Boyle, Senator Millett. They're the ones that are going to be taking that vote up in Augusta as to lowering, the school subsidies and making us pay the teacher retirement. They're the ones, and so they want to hear from us, and the council did receive a letter from Senators Boyle and Millett and from Representative Amy Volk tonight looking for our input. So I would ask the residents to also, because that's the cause of where we are. Over the years, it's just been eating at our bottom line, and we have minimal sources of revenue, and we certainly will take Mr. Meserve's suggestion and we'll look at those fees again. We did make a lot of adjustments in some areas in the last couple of years, but I'm sure that there are more. Just another tax. And third, I think, I understand that, my role as a counselor is to serve on behalf of all the residents, be they young, old, or in the middle. And we have to do the best we can. It's not easy, and I don't think that job is taken lightly by any of us. And when hurting comments are cast our way, it makes you say to yourself, why did I run? Why am I doing this job? I'll tell you why. I care a lot about this town. I've been here for 60 years. It'll be 61 years in June. And I've seen lots of changes happen, and I've seen the town grow, and I really care about it. And to question my integrity and to question whether or not I have the best interest of our residents at heart, it kind of really hurts deep. But I've learned to roll with the punches as the years go on. My blood pressure used to go up a lot early when I was younger, but now it doesn't. I think we have to be responsible. I think we have to be willing to compromise and to assure that we are equitably meeting the needs of all the residents. We have to We have to balance that, and that's a tough thing to do, particularly with the drastic reductions that we've had. I think certainly when we look at budgets at first glance, we look at, the amount of money we save by, reducing the budgets. But in the long run, the more we do reduce, and it's been said tonight, the more you reduce, the more it's going to cost you ultimately to get back on your feet again. It's kind of like if your house needs a new roof, and you say, I'm not going to fix it this year, well, next year you're going to repair the roof, the ceiling, and the rug, and pump the water out of the basement. So the longer the school has to hold back, the longer the municipality has to hold back repairing roads or doing things like that, the greater the cost is going to be in the long run. And again, I give kudos to the municipal department for holding the line on that and still doing a lot of good things. We have to preserve what we have. And we have to also, at the same time, allow some growth for the services that we provide. People can say, I can't pay the taxes and I want to move to another town, but I think you want to look long and hard at the kind of services that other towns do not provide for their citizens. And if there are services that people don't want anymore, just please send us that list and we'll take you off that list for whatever that service is you don't want, and we can subtract that from your bill. But that wouldn't be treating people fairly. So we couldn't do that. But I just believe that we've done a yeoman's job with the budget such as it is. It's not where we want it on both ends of on both sides of the coin. We'd like to see it at a much lower per mill rate, and we'd also like to see the school department and the municipal departments have the kind of monies necessary to maintain the aesthetics of this great community. So with that, that's my comments. And hope that bipartisan tax plan group of 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 1 independent win out. That's going.
Council Holbrook.
Boy, I always hate going.
I do. Try to top that.
Yeah, I can't. So just kind of ditto to a lot of that. I guess, and again, I should backtrack. Again, my condolences to the Bell family. And yes, Bruce has been fairly quiet this year, and I know he's had his hands full. So on the school, certainly the biggest and best thing I can say is certainly, to get out and vote. It's important. It gives us a much better sense of direction. Certainly, we kind of set out this year, and we had several directives, and that's something I found myself struggling with sometimes. It's hard to remove your personal opinions from an equation and think, with your counselor hat. And my counselor hat was, as a goal, we had a directive to try to maintain our services and our infrastructure and avoid layoffs. And when you put that all into the pot, that's what you're left with, is we're at 7% mark. So again, I firmly believe in the citizens' right to choose and choose how you have those services delivered to you. So as a whole and as a package, that's what's being delivered. And I do believe that. So unless we want to change how we deliver those things, that's where the vote would come in. Certainly, it's very hard. The state really just keeps socking it to us, and to make up those lost grounds, you have over $1.5 million in lost revenue. Just the fixed costs alone, plus the reduction in revenue, is certainly catastrophic. But certainly, it still always weighs extremely heavily on myself. And I'm very cognizant of, I do have 2 children in the system, so I certainly care deeply about the education they get. But I'm very well aware of the plight of, the working class right now. Just our wages have been flat, and our cost of living has skyrocketed, and I have grandparents in town, and I have parents in town, and, those are those fixed incomes. And those are the numbers that I think about and I'm cognizant of when I think of something like a 3% number and those sorts of things, because that's what we're seeing in that working market. You know, we're seeing in our home a 2% wage increase, and that was it after 3 years of pay freezes. But again, my cost of living has gone up, as well as a lot of families. Certainly, Social Security hasn't given much of anything. And again, you know, you talk about, you know, it's my fourth budget. It's, you know, $1,000 more in taxes at this point that we're asking of our residents, and that goes with the 1,000 more in gas and fuel for your home, and probably another 1,000 in groceries, and, you know, those are the total picture. And that's what I'm getting at, like Judy had said, is I have to be aware of not just the needs of the students, but the needs of the citizens of the community as a whole package. Certainly, I look forward to seeing the results. I have my own thoughts and opinions of how I will vote, but I will keep that to myself. One little bright spot that I would love to kind of touch upon is I've always thought Scarborough, at the end of the day, does a fairly good job with their education. As some of you are probably aware, Maine Department of Education released their grades for municipalities. Only 10 schools got an A grade, and Scarborough was one of them. So that's something to be very proud of. We're obviously reaching our kids, even with some of the economic crisis. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councilor Sullivan.
I have to, first of all, condolences go out to the Bell family also. I'm sure he's watching us tonight. Bruce is. See how we make out. I have to agree with some of the comments that Councilor Blaze made. It is difficult for a lot of people in the community, seniors on fixed incomes that I hear from, working class people that have either been, one of the spouses have lost their job, or reductions in their family income, and taxes become a factor for them all over. So I met Judy, Councilor Roy put some statements real well, and so did Councilor Holbrook. I think, a lot of frustration I have with, I remember the days of Tabor, and the state kept telling us, okay, no, we'll fix this. And we voted all to have 55% school funding, which neither one has, came true. I think, and all I hear up the State House now is expanding programs. How about taking care of the commitments that you made as our state legislature and our state government? If we had 55% school funding, and they laid off some of their spending, we would be sitting in a lot better place right now than we are now. So don't all, blame this on your local council and government, like some people in the state would say. I lay a lot of this blame right on the state government, and that's put us in this position, and they keep wanting to cut. So it's just disgusting, it's frustrating. I want this town to do well, I want to invest in it. I have kids coming up, and into the school system, and I hate to have to, make these decisions, but I also hear other residents pleading with me with their tax bills and saying the same thing. I know some of them that have actually moved to further up north where the tax rate is less. They didn't want or they had to. They've lived here for generations. So as a counselor, I have to weigh these out. These are hard decisions. The school board advocates for the school. And I feel the councilors advocate for the whole town, everybody. And it's a real hard decision. And they have to be made sometimes. And just like Judy said, I don't want to have to do this either. I feel my stomach's kind of in knots too, knowing the effects. But It's just a decision that we had to make, so. And, we'll get the input from the voters soon enough.
Thank you. My thoughts on the budget is that it's difficult, it's painful, and certainly those people who served on the Finance Committee, Council Blades, first time on that, Council Holbrook has been on it before, and Council Roy led it. I've been on it many times. Everybody comes in front of you, and everybody has wants and needs. We all understand that, and we hear it all, and we made some sacrifices in this budget to reflect what the economy is, I think, and what citizens can stand to pay. I know the fire department would like to have 4 firefighters to get their complement up, and we put that off for 6 months. The fact of the matter is that 4 doesn't bring them up to where they need to be or they should be. It just, we're playing catch-up with them, and I think that's unfortunate. I know Public Works works very hard to fix things and rebuild things, and by the success, it has saved us a lot of money. This town keeps growing, and we keep putting more demands on each department. The schools, I think you do an awesome job. It's a struggle for us. It's a struggle for me personally to try to figure out where we come down with the schools. It's certainly for me or anybody else, it's nothing personal. It's just trying to make Scarborough an affordable place for everybody. I got all the emails. I get, 50 emails like everybody else, from people who are begging us to raise taxes, for the schools. And then I go to the grocery store and I have the conversations with the people, the senior citizens, or I call them the middle class, which is now the lower middle class, with people just begging us to do with what we have, and try to make it last for a few more years. I understand all that. But today, the A grade in the high school, I think that kind of puts a smile on your face. I know that's not perfect. I know that we can do better, and we can argue that, where that's going to be in 5 years if we go the direction we are. But when we start out doing the budget, it's a job that we have to do, that we're elected to do. It's something that you roll up your sleeves. The Finance Committee, they meet many, many hours. And for me, it was, I appreciated the fact that they had as many meetings with the school board as they did, or the full school board. I thought that was wonderful, and I was able to go to one of them, and I appreciated the fact that we try to communicate that stuff back and forth. I appreciate the sacrifice the library made. I know that they wanted a generator, and I'm glad tonight we could adjust the pay parity thing, something we left out, but we committed to 3 years ago, so it's appropriate tonight to put that back in the budget. Where we go from here, I guess, is we try to make things work. We try to keep the roads clear. We try to keep the fire and rescue showing up every time you call them, and we certainly keep trying to be the top of the schools. We can compare us with anybody in the state of Maine. I appreciate the fact, again, what the Finance Committee did, and I think it's kind of like you have to hold your nose and vote for something. That's what this is about when you do the budget. It's never, nobody ever does an attaboy after this thing. It's always, well, we got that done, and you second guess yourself, maybe we left something out, or we should have done a little more here or there. And that's the struggles, I guess, we have with the finance. I know our nonprofits that we had this year, we even asked them to make a little bit of a sacrifice.
We haven't decided on how much they'll be getting, but
Right.
we lowered the amount.
But I mean that there's an area that's going to see a sacrifice also. So we spread this all the way around, and we certainly try to do the best we can. And May 14th is a big vote. Absentee ballots will be available tomorrow morning at Town Hall here. If somebody needs one of those, please show up. Again, I just want to send my condolences to the Bob Murphy family, Scott Adair family, who are both classmates of mine, and Dot Bell, who is a distant aunt of mine, and Bruce Bell, and certainly all the kids, send my condolences to them. Again, I want to thank Troop 39 for showing up tonight and leading us. They did a great job. And we always appreciate it when the kids show up and take part in our program. It's a big deal to me, and it's a big deal to the other counselors when they do that. So again, thank you. So Again, in closing comments is, make sure you get out to vote. That's the most important thing you can do. I don't care how you believe in this budget, or where you come down on it, but the first thing we always look at, how many people voted, and that's the most important thing to us, you know? We can argue later how they voted and where it came out, but the numbers is really, is what we're looking for. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Good night, thank you.
So, I was on that vote.